16 p.m. See if I can spout off some medical commentary real quick over something that somebody told me earlier. Because often it's mostly going to pertain to blood sugar, or like low blood sugar, which would be hypoglycemia, opposed to high blood sugar, which would be hyperglycemia. Well, anyway, it's not uncommon if somebody lets their blood sugar get low, whether or not if they're a diabetic, having diabetes is hyperglycemia, high blood sugar, but they can have a weird fluctuation. There's type 1 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Come on, I'm reading on the other side of the highway. Traffic stop, you're messing up the teleprompter that I'm reading from. I lost my train of thought. Come on, I gotta get these good glasses to zoom in. Where was I at? Oh, hyperglycemia is the same as high blood sugar, that type of diabetes. There's type 1 and type 2 diabetes. I think type 1 is insulin dependent, where they gotta take the shots. Type 2 diabetes is you have low blood sugar, but you're not insulin dependent, where you don't have to take a medication like either metformin or the shots, the insulin shots. And you always got to do the, not proton checks, but the glucose checks, like a glucometer. You got the little meter, do the little finger pricks, put a little drop of blood on the deal, put it in the little thing. And them are pretty cheap to have, probably compared to a proton check. Well, anyway, I know when I was like 13 to 14 years old, before my mom started dating the now late Jerry Foshi, she took me, I felt, okay, one of the symptoms of low blood sugar can often be the following: low feeling, foggy headiness, and maybe a faint feeling. In a person, if it gets too low, they can actually pass out, but that tends to be more common with the high blood sugar or diabetic type people. But I think even low blood sugar or hypoglycemia, not hyperglycemia, can, I want to say I heard somebody, I don't know if I ever experienced it, but they can see like black spots or see spots. They can feel fainty, whether they faint or not, they can see spots. But anyway, here's the deal. Whether or not, okay, well, for me, just to sum up the experiences, I went and stated my symptoms to a doctor at a medical practice in Mount Ida, Arkansas, and he's like, oh, well, you're describing the classic symptoms of low blood sugar or hypoglycemia, and where they failed on that, on not doing a follow-up, was not doing the lab. The proton, the glucometer check, the blood sugar check. But like a year and a half later, when I'm like barely turning 15 or lesser than the age of 15, it was before there was a doctor's office beside what used to be known as the Melba's Cafe in Norman, Arkansas, and later Poor Horse Cafe. But anyway, right next to where it's still the mayor's office, there was a room in there where they had like a little auditorium stage room. Well, not far from there, I think this was still the mayor's office, but next to that, they had a part-time doctor's office. And actually, I remember, because Jerry is the one who took me to the appointments. If I'm not mistaken, it is the Dr. B. The first letter of the last name starts with B as in boy. And I've seen that doctor as a patient myself. Well, if you count on that occurrence, I think it's twice, because he had us come back the next day, which is actually smart on his part, and the doctor in Mount Ida should have done up to a year and a half earlier. Done a follow-up, actually tested my blood sugar, because I may not have been an all-time, full-time low blood sugar person, or technically diagnosed as hypoglycemic. Anybody can probably experience some of those symptoms and let their blood sugar get low by depending on their diet and also how long they go without eating food. And the rule of thumb then, if you're a true hypoglycemic, I don't know what it is today, not necessarily up to date on it, but it was basically up to not necessarily 5 meals a day, but in between some of your 3 main courses, you know, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, whichever dinner is, dinner or supper. Uh, um, it was basically in between breakfast and lunch, have a small protein snack. In between lunch and supper, have a small protein snack to help keep the blood sugar at up to its normal range, and to help prevent the feelings of low energy, mental fogginess, and maybe even the faint feeling. And well, anyway, I guess it got ruled out. You know, I officially was not such. But the point is, a person's diet, I mean, really just that grain, is it going to look as pretty as it did yesterday? It don't. I don't know if just splitting it off made it change, and the light's different. Now, it looks better on the camera than it does the phone. It was really the grain here. I don't know, there's not as much light in the day. It don't have as much as the red tint to it. And that may be just from it being apart, because it was like sealed on there. And that is supposed to be a sweet gum. Well, I was corrected by the person that it was not cherry. The person that got my chainsaw unstuck said it was sweet gum, and I got to looking at it better. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's well over a week ago. Well, anyway, I wanted to kind of give a compliment, I guess, if I do upload this right. You know, that I did see that doctor one day, and then at Norman City Hall, Arkansas State, with Jerry Foshi, because my mom was busy working, busy doing other stuff. Otherwise, I don't think he would have been taking me. And anyway, as far as stuff like that went, if he's available, he did pretty good. And or anytime I ask for help on something, he is pretty prone to help me. Anyway, but we were really it was more of a friendship type relationship than, there was no, believe me, by or before the time I'm 12, nobody was, I did not really look to anybody as a father figure. I mean, whatever level my grandfather may have factored in, but pretty much after my adopted dad died, I was like, my dad's dead. Nobody's my dad, you know. Yeah, I mean, that was my concept, you know. And even though I got good influences, you know, or good help at times from, you know, from the age of, after he died, my mom had a series of long-term relationships. All of them up to like almost a minimum of 5 years, if not longer. From a first name Tim to the first name Jerry. And there was a short-term relationship in between those two. Well, it lasted about a year, and then again we had the friendship dynamic. And he ended up living, and he fixed it up more than some, without saying names. And there was nobody that lived in this immediate area. They technically didn't even live in this county. But, well, I don't know. The boyfriend did do some shingle work at that time. I'm going back quite a few years there. You know, I'm going back over 20 years. Come on. I'm going back like 25 plus years. And, over, you know, where the house my mom grew up in, where I got the brown wall that I built with the pine boards. 1x5s? I don't know what they are. They're bigger than a 1x4. They almost don't look big enough to be a 1x6 to me. And they're not rough cut. And, and then on that note, all these boards, not the painted, not the blued, but the porch boards, from here to the back porch, were milled off of this property. Between here and North Poke Creek Road, where it junctions to State Highway number 8, North Poke Creek Road, going northbound on that dirt road, where it junctions into State Highway number 8, between here and there, a friend of my grandfather's, by the last name Buck, had a portable sawmill, and he ended up bringing it in the corner. That I only have one little picture of memory. I mean, no physical picture, but a picture in my head of it being at the base of the hill where I walked the other day, you know, like so many feet towards Norman or east from where I found that trash. And when I first entered the stand of pine trees, is right in that area where he had that portable sawmill set. That was just open field. And I don't remember much of the activity that they did. I don't remember if I was present. I mean, I remember my grandfather dipping me in what I call an artesian spring well over there before the building was constructed. It just had a concrete cylinder culvert vertically put in, dug out around gravel, and then and the cylinder was set in there. I mean, I'm like 7 years old or younger, or maybe a little older. I don't know. It could have been 1989. It was after Duel died. I don't know. It was around 1990, give or take, because I think the building was built during the year 1990. Somewhere in there, latter half of 1990, first half of 1991, somewhere in that region. And I think, because I think the lease agreement on it commenced either in not the year 1990 or the year 1991. Anyway, the back porch boards, wood, and the front porch here. I don't know about the 4x4s. 4x4s, no, I'm sure those were bought. And I'm sure about the plywood, that wasn't. Just the boards. Just the, like, 2x, whatever them are, 2x8s. That's bigger than a 2x6. Man, if that would be a 2x6 right there. Oh, I'm dark. Them are 2x8s. And them may be like a true 2x8 rough cut. I need to be torch on. Yeah, that's probably a true 2x8. Cause like there would be a 2x5, 2x6. Them are 2x8s, man. Well, anyway, these were milled off the property, front porch and back porch. Wouldn't know that. Wouldn't remember that. These boards were not. I got those somewhere myself. Did my own thing. Somebody gave me that board the other day that helped me. We randomly got down a tree over a cable line by that spring building. I got excited earlier. I was like, well, it's putting out a big leaf. But anyway, mostly commentary about blood sugar versus low blood sugar to high blood sugar, which low blood sugar is hypoglycemia. High blood sugar is hyperglycemia. Hyper meaning high, and then the hypo meaning low, apparently. And to end on this note, if I can, quick enough, at 12 minutes and 15 seconds, a person's, their diet alone can induce them into more so a diabetic state, but also the hypoglycemic state, but more so diabetes. You know, it's in some cases it can be very preventable, or one of the twos, the type 1 or the type 2. One is reversible, the one that's not where you don't become insulin dependent by diet and exercise, namely, is the two key factors. But a person can induce themselves into becoming either a type 1 or type 2 diabetic by commonly ingesting lots of sugars and carbohydrates. Again, because the carbohydrates turn to sugar in the body, like alcohol, the drinking of alcohol from beers, wines, liquors, they turn to sugar in the bloodstream or in the body. So I'm just going to end on that. I don't know if this is informative or not. And well, if I can grab it, find one. I bought it recently. I don't want to show everything in my house. Compared to the Pedialyte. I was on the phone with that person that was telling me having the blood sugar deal. They were saying, I can drink the heck out of these when I have them, and I just drank some water before I started doing this. But does this one say great for adults too? Yeah, it does. But you know, it's like the person says they crave water. I crave water sometimes myself, but here's the deal. Apparently, from this, and I've been showing more than one of these. This is actually the Equate brand. Don't it say that on the front? Yes, because it says compared to Pedialyte up there. But anyway, you know, so sometimes water alone is not enough, depending on the situation. And it says to help prevent dehydration due to vomiting and diarrhea. I would say vomiting and or diarrhea. Put it in my own words. Intense exercise. You sweat a lot. Heat exhaustion. You could sweat a lot. Travel. I don't always understand that one. I asked somebody that, and it made kind of sense. But sometimes if you get the jet lag thing, or if you're really traveling into like halfway around the world, and I don't know. I really don't get that. I know you can get lack of sleep, and maybe you're just not as prone to drink much water. I'd have to do more research. I don't know why travel is listed. But I read one of these bottles, not the Equate one. It said something about it didn't, to where it says quickly replenishes fluids and those types of things listed to prevent dehydration. Where I haven't read this one. I have not. There are instances where it talks about if you're, designed for fast, effective rehydration. So it's not just to prevent dehydration. Well, I guess it could. I have to take that into context. You could be somewhat dehydration, but maybe even to the point you're headed towards dehydration or borderline dehydration or moderate dehydration. So you want to hurry up and rehydrate yourself before you get to that point. But I'm just going with it. This is my opinion on here. I'm not saying it's fact. If a person is already in a mild level of dehydration, this is probably going to work, or should, or would. But if somebody's in moderate, if they're above mild dehydration, they very well need to go to a hospital or seek some kind of medical attention or medical expertise. That's all I can say. But I don't even go by my rule of thumb that, kind of like a person has a first aid kit or a survival kit. I think a case of these or something should be on standby, kind of like your Neosporin, your basic bandages. Neosporin or the equivalent of some kind of antibiotic. I'm not a big antibiotic person in the orally form. Take an antibiotic pill? No. But as far as the creams go around the wounds, for some reason, I'm real pro that. I think it can help prevent infection and maybe even help the healing process faster. Okay, why am I doing this? Jasmine says, you talk too much, and then you upload too much of what you say. Let's check the temp. I don't know if it's not going to get real cold, I might leave this stuff on the porch. And you can get the morning sun, but it's probably not in the best location. That one is saying almost above 64 degrees. This one is saying right around 63 degrees, in between 62 and 64. And are these the same brand? No. I bought a new one the other day, but they don't go hand in hand. Let me get this torch off, the brown wall I was talking about. And I've never sanded it, never polyurethaned in it. I think I even used the 2x4s. I'd have to look. I think I used the 2x4s that come out of that original old house. And I've said before, that's one of my regrets is from a contractual perspective and other perspectives. Even before the contractual contract existed on that property. I regret not having something stated in there, but I signed at the age of 23, and then and I think that was a regret on me for grandparents that they should have done more to restore that. Or to keep it maintained. Just like I'm in a situation now, I don't know fully to what extent over there. But it's like I don't want to repeat that pattern. But I don't know what's going over there. I went in like a shutdown late last year to parts of this year. It's like I don't even really like going over there. It doesn't mean it's always going to be that way. I don't know. And everybody's interested in it. Why? I don't know. But so many people. I've had so many people bring up the property. Even the day after my mother's funeral services. I'm in my yard looking over there like, is it for sale? Who lives over there? And I'm thinking, you have the gall to even ask me. You know where you live. I know what property you live. Whether or not you read the Montgomery County, Arkansas paper or not, and whether it was in there right, you knew. They were tracking me down when they saw me, like they was watching me like vultures when I entered my driveway. No offense, they were. They introduced two names to me, and I said Bible names. Big smiles on the faces. And saying yes, and I started quoting aspects of the Bible, like even Matthew chapter 24, and then they looked blank, like, what are you talking about? Purposely didn't want to give me a cell phone number, Before they left, cell phone starts ringing in their vehicle. It was really awkward. It was awkward. And I could already tell they had ideas about me before they showed up. And the timing was just wonderful, wonderful. You know, like I said in one video, I'd already been given mail just a couple of weeks before that. Within 48 hours after my mom's passing, I'm getting mail addressed to. And nobody was... nothing was adding up to good for me, and people early this year won't even have a clue, and it was pretty bad early this year, and I still don't feel like I'm out of the woods yet, figuratively, metaphorically speaking. Oh, I prefer to live in the woods by a stream, but I don't feel like I'm out of the woods of a situation, and that's that's a bad feeling right there. To know you're in a situation or feel like you're in a situation and you don't even know what it is. You know it's not good. Secondly, you don't know what it is. 3, you don't know how it's going to be a means to an end, and then often an end of a matter is better than the start of one. Like, you go into a job interview, nervous, walk out, good or bad, you're glad it's over with, you're relieved. Sometimes a doctor's appointment. Oh, I do have a stethoscope. But really what I was wanting a better blood pressure. I want a manual blood pressure cuff. Rule of thumb here, people's pulses, their pulse is hard to check. Just go straight to the chest. Wherever you're supposed to put it on the chest to listen to the heart. Instead of trying to get a pulse there or even on the neck, the carotid artery, that's the radial artery, that's the brachial artery, and then the throat's the carotid artery. I can't retain all this, man. You don't use it. I bought this the other day. Yes, Sally, I got you. It says, don't show up as good as the other one. Another one's going to look dingy like everything does around here. 72, 74, almost 76. I actually took the other one. It's crooked down there. See how the mold? It's crooked. Then get over to this one that I've had for like over a year. I mean, they're the same. I don't know if the size is identical. But this one, you can look at that. The mold is great. The mold is better. And it's more fluent on how it shows. But it's saying it's 72, almost 73 degrees. And this one here, it's about in the same area, really. And it's harder to see. It wants to say a degree or two more. And I've noticed that ever since I've cross-referenced it, this one wants to read a little higher. I don't know if it's because it's 1, a little bit higher where heat rises, and 2, it's closer to a heat source. I mean, even that little bit, not even a full foot. That could be. If you counted center to center of that would be about a foot apart. If you counted the red part, yeah, that's almost, that's over 10 inches apart. So, just to show, I don't feel much heat. I have to get close. It's warm. You just to glance at it, you don't think there's anything in there. But there's still some heat. I'm not going to start a fire tonight. It shouldn't get no colder than 48 degrees. I don't even know the projection. I keep a couple of lighters in that. A cousin of my grandfather's made that boot many years ago. He was good at it. I mean, I think I was here when he gave it to him as a gift. I don't remember his name. I might would if somebody were to say it. I need the top of this wherever it's at. It should be over there somewhere. I bought this incense burner when I was like 14 in downtown Hot Springs, or close to downtown Hot Springs. Anyway, at the then Golden Leaves bookstore. I don't know why, but my mom would go in there quite a bit. The top should be over there. I think it's brass. Okay. Guess I could shut up. See, look, I just see dust. Look, yeah, there's dust particles in the air. It's from me moving that around. Ash particles. Now look at my keyboard. Dusty. That is from that. Dusty with a smoke residue or ash residue.